Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to the sheep pen, bah, where no goats are allowed. So today we're going to talk once again about narcissism. Now, in previous videos, I came under attack for being a minister who references and uses psychological terms. And I would just like to quote my mentor in exorcism. He told me, he said, he was known to say, that he had no problem with psychology. He thought psychologists and psychiatrists did a great job of naming, categorizing, and characterizing demon activity in people's lives. So he often would use psychological terms when referring to psychological issues and demons by the name of certain psychological ailments or issues. So, as an exorcist, I believe that everything good comes from God and everything bad comes from the devil. And so, therefore, psychological ailments, personality disorders, and traits, in my opinion, are demonically inspired. And you can have a spiritual approach to psychological and psychiatric issues. I believe this is my right under the First Amendment as a minister of the gospel to share my points of view concerning how to overcome certain issues in your life, whether those be codependency or you name it, okay? We could list the laundry list of psychological issues, and prayer is beneficial in all of these and in medical cases as well. Now, do some people have chemical imbalances that require medication? Absolutely. I'm not against the use of medication. In fact, when some people are so demonized that until they get onto psychiatric medication and can become balanced, you can't really address them spiritually because you can't get past the demons. That the medicine itself helps to calm the demonic interaction and therefore creates an environment where you can contact the person and kind of do an end run around the devil. So I'm not against psychology and psychiatry, and I see it as another way of approaching these problems, and a valid way. But I also believe that spiritual methods are longer lasting, more transformative, and oftentimes act and move more quickly than a simple psychology or psychiatry solution. So, having said that, I'm not a doctor, not trying to be. I'm a man of the cloth, so to speak. Although my cloth today is flannel. I'm a man of the flannel today. But I wanted to talk about this because there's a lot of misunderstanding about what narcissism is. We're talking about narcissism. There's a lot of finger pointing, claiming that people that maybe act in a selfish way are narcissistic when they may or may not be. And there's a lot of confusion around the terms or the words that are used by the narcissistic circles, okay? Most of the people that talk about narcissism on the internet are not doctors, although I highly recommend, if you're dealing with a narcissist, if you're trying to recover from narcissistic abuse, that you look up Dr. Romani. I think she is the preeminent voice in this. And one of the conclusions that we've come to is that narcissism is incurable because it's not necessarily a disorder. And I don't necessarily believe, I believe it's demonic. Once again, everything good from God, everything bad from the devil. But exorcism is not effective against a narcissist because at a narcissist's core, they like what they are. They chose to be what they are. Many of them chose this path at a very early age due to childhood trauma, but many doctors agree it's a choice. Some of them call it a communication style and not a disorder at all. And so the jury is still out. Psychology and psychiatrists are still forming opinions on narcissism, and most of the people that you see speak on this on the internet are not doctors. They're victims of narcissistic abuse. They're recovering from narcissistic abuse. They came from a narcissistic family. And so, but it can be very confusing watching these videos for the first time. So this is kind of a primer on what this is. I will say that narcissism, and doctors agree, that narcissism is an epidemic in our world. that there's something about modern culture, modern lifestyle that seems to breed narcissistic personalities. And many people have chosen the path of narcissism, and we're surrounded by them. I guarantee you, if you don't know a narcissist, if you know what narcissism is and you claim not to have ever met one, you might be one, right? If you can't find the weak link, you are the weak link. The weak link, the weak link, weak link. Say that 3 times fast. Go ahead, I'll wait. But yeah, it's everywhere. It seems like you can't walk out your front door without tripping over 3 narcissists on the way to the 7-Eleven. And so it's something that people are talking about, but they're using almost a foreign language to discuss it. So part of this video is definitely going to be familiarizing you with the glossary of terms, the dictionary of narcissism. So the first word I'd like to address is supply. When a narcissist chooses a victim, when they begin to essentially suck them dry spiritually, emotionally, sometimes financially, when they pick somebody to drive crazy, and trust me, that's what happens when you become a victim of narcissistic abuse. Their goal is to, and their passion in life is to drive you insane, to make you look like the nut job. And so, yeah, supply is what the narcissist gets when they rile you up, when they fool you, when they lie to you, when they trick you, when they belittle you, when they beat you down. They even get a rush out of it when they come back and love bomb you. Love bombing is another word. Love bombing is the initial phase of a narcissistic relationship. That the first clue that you might be dealing with a narcissist who's out to see you as supply, as food, as it were, as someone to feed upon, is that they will love bomb you. They will buy you flowers. Hey, not everybody that buys you flowers in a relationship is a narcissist, right? I'm not even saying that, but it's all happening too fast, too hard, too soon. A narcissist wants to move very quickly because they don't want you to get the opportunity to figure out who they really are before they get you hooked. So they want to get you hooked with the love bombing. Poetry, communicating with music, flowers, extravagant first dates, taking people on trips too soon in the relationship, going straight for the commitment very early on instead of taking your time, are all what you might call red flags that you might be dealing with a narcissist. So love bombing is phase 1 of narcissism. And what's some other phrases? Well, the next one might be when they get you past the love bombing, they enter the devaluing phase. This is where they lose their, once they get you, they own you, they feel like they have their hooks into you, they quickly lose interest. They start to look to the horizon for the next victim. They become unsatisfied with the happiness that comes from the love bombing. Love bombing will make you very happy at first, until the devaluing phase starts, where then they start to put you down. They start to see flaws in everything you do. Nothing you do is good enough. Nothing you buy them is what they wanted. No place you go is where they want to go, even if they chose where to go. That they'll choose where to go, and you'll take them there, and then they'll just be unhappy that you couldn't do better than this. And so they start to devalue you as a person. They start to tear you down emotionally, psychologically. It's during this time that they will start to lie a lot. Not that love bombing isn't lying. It is a form of lying, but this will be the genuine lying, lying about where they've been, what they're doing, who they're spending their time with. Not all cheaters are narcissistic, but many doctors agree that most all narcissists cheat. Is part of the character. They get a rush out of fooling you. They get a rush out of love bombing somebody new while they devalue you. And they'll continue this devaluing phase until they're about to lose you, until maybe you break up with them or are about to break up with them. Breaking up with a narcissist is a video all of its own, and I've talked about that before, how dangerous it is to break up with them, because they will go on a smear campaign. And they, if and when either you break up with them or they finally discard you, then they will employ the help of a thing called a flying monkey. You could see supply, love bombing, flying monkey. All of these phrases can leave you scratching your head if you're watching a video on narcissism for the first time. A flying monkey refers to the character in The Wizard of Oz of the Wicked Old Witch of the West, of the East. Wicked Witch of the Good Witch? I don't know. Which one was the evil witch? The green-faced one. She would get her flying monkeys, her evil creations, these unnatural flying monkeys, to go and do her dirty work, to go and attack her enemies, to go and cause subterfuge and problems. And so early on in a relationship with a narcissist, they will begin to attach to people that you know. They will build relationships with the people that you know, your family, your friends, and they'll slowly convince them there's something wrong with you. They'll convince them that you're the problem. You know, I'll get into a covert versus an extroverted narcissist or a grandiose narcissist, what those divisions are, but a covert narcissist especially is good at this, at playing the victim, accusing you of literally what they are doing to you. They will accuse you of doing it to them. And they'll convince your whole family that you're the problem. If they emotionally or verbally abuse you, they'll accuse you of being verbally abusive. In fact, a favorite narcissist trap is to use another form we'll get into later, gaslighting, but lying about things to you and getting you in such a state of confusion and talking in circles and using all the narcissist tricks in the book to get you so up in your head, so twisted up that you lose your temper and you'll have a flip out. And then the narcissist will sit back, play the victim, let you twist off, and many times secretly video or audio tape you. Many narcissists convince family and friends that you're the problem by showing them the result of the abuse, your reaction to the abuse, and pretend that it came out of nowhere, that you just went off on them for no reason at all. When in reality, you were finally expelling all of this frustration that had been building over weeks or months through this narcissistic process. That by the third or fourth round of love bombing, devaluing, discarding, and then what's called hoovering, it can drive you crazy. What is hoovering? There's another narcissistic phrase that we use to explain narcissism. Hoovering is when they repeat the process. So the process goes love bombing, devaluing, discarding, and then they circle back around and love bomb you again. That's called hoovering. That's not referring to the original head of the FBI. It's referring to the vacuum cleaner, the Hoover vacuum cleaner, that they will go back around and suck you back in for another round. I will admit that most of the stuff I know about narcissism comes from being raised in a double narcissistic home with an extroverted and an introverted narcissist at war with each other. Yes, they actually are better suited for each other than anybody else. They'll stay together a long time and drive each other crazy. But I come from that environment, so I immediately latched on to this personality type because I saw it in my own family. Because that's what I originally viewed love to look like, conflict, and this process of breaking up to make up, the break up to make up process, the repeated cycle, that I started to, or came into this world seeing that as what love was. And it took me a long time to learn what real love was. That real love isn't this cycle and this circle. And so because I was in that environment, it just popped out at me, and it made me a magnet, like bait for narcissists. They saw that I was primed and ready to receive their narcissistic abuse. And I have a long line of narcissistic relationships where I have been dragged through the mud. I've been dragged through the ringer. I mean, it's to the point where I was about to give up on love until I finally learned that love is not all of that, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I learned to spot narcissists a mile away and avoid them. And I even have some tests where you can tell if you're dealing with a narcissist or not. I guess the biggest test of all, which will show you whether they're a narcissist or not, tell them no about something pretty early in the relationship. It doesn't matter what it is, just tell them no. Set a boundary, say no, and mean it, and stick to it. That will drive a narcissist crazy, and you'll see them show their dark side. Their dark side will pop out. So that's one method. But the hoovering is a return to the cycle. And so when you get a person coming back around, they're going to come at you in various ways. And it really just depends on the situation. It depends on what else is going on in the narcissist's life at the time they hoover you, whether they're in a relationship and doing that dirty thing they did to you where they talk to their ex on while they're sitting on your couch. They're sitting on your couch in your house, supposed to be with you, and they're flirting with their ex. They're hoovering their ex while they're literally in the devaluing phase of you. That juggling multiple people is one of the techniques that narcissists use to make sure their supply is never interrupted. They can't live without the drama. They can't live without feeling superior over their victims. They can't live without sucking your energy because they are that broken and they are that selfish. And honestly, they are that needy, that they need that supply to the point where they usually have 2 or 3 people going at once. It's almost the personality behind what you'd call a player. A player is somebody in a relationship with 2 people on the side. And whether they're actually cheating in that moment or just cheating emotionally by talking to this person, if they're in a relationship with you, chances are they're also at some point in the relationship hoovering around to their ex, still staying in contact with their ex, still trying to love bomb their ex. And so hoovering is one of the things that you can stop the cycle after the first round if you recognize hoovering, if you recognize that love bombing is fake love and not real love. Because when someone really goes out of their way to make you special, make you feel special, it can really fool you into thinking this must be love. They think so much of me. Can't you see they love me? They went away. Often the story is they went away. They broke up with you or you broke up with them over a fight. And when they hoover you back around, their story is, I've changed. I finally recognized how awesome we are together. I looked back and I didn't know what I had until I lost it, is the narcissist's go-to phrase for hoovering. So it can be very confusing when you're deciphering some of these online videos if you don't know what hoovering is, circling back around for another round. If you don't know what supply is, well, supply is the jazz that they get out of it. If you don't know what, we can talk about the 2 different kinds of narcissists. I'll get to that towards the end. But gaslighting is another phrase they use a lot. And not everybody knows what gaslighting is, but it really is a characterization of a behavior that really is one of the earmarks of a narcissist. A narcissist will look you right in the eye and deny something happened when you were there, when you saw it with your own eyes. One could argue that the press gaslights America on a daily basis about all kinds of things, where they just keep selling this false narrative until you buy it, until you start to doubt your own sanity. Hey, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. That they'll keep telling you a lie and telling you that you misunderstood it, telling you that you didn't see all the facts, telling you that you don't understand what you saw. It's behind the Texas phrase, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? Are you going to believe your own eyes or me? And they will convince you that you didn't see what you thought you saw. One of the prime examples, there's an opening scene. I wish I could remember what show it's from. I think it's How to Succeed in Advertising Without Even Trying. That may be one. That may be the stage play made into a movie. But the opening scene is a woman walks in on her husband, literally in bed with another woman. And she says, what are you doing? I can't believe you're with another woman in our own bed. And he goes, what woman? And he stands up and he's putting his clothes on. And the woman in question gets up and starts putting her clothes on. And the wife is going, that woman right there. And they look at it and they go, honey, are you feeling okay? Have you taken your medicine? Are you having hallucinations again? There's no woman over there. Meanwhile, there is actually a woman over there getting dressed, getting her purse, and getting ready to leave your house. And they don't say a word. And the narcissist will just pretend that you don't even see it. Later on, you'll say, like that time I caught you in bed with that woman. And they'll say, honey, that never happened. You know that never happened. Why do you keep saying that? She makes things up. I never did that. I don't know. I think she's off her meds. See, that tone, that syrupy tone, is behind gaslighting. And it can actually, even in a well-adjusted human, when somebody keeps telling you over and over again that something didn't happen, or that you got it wrong, or that you misunderstood it, and it's not what it looks like, that's a common gaslighting phrase. So it's not what it looks like. Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? Your lying eyes. And then the two different kinds of narcissists. I think most people, if you don't know about narcissism, thinks about the extroverted narcissist, which is best described as the politician or the rock star or the bigger than life persona, a person who is a successful, grandiose or extroverted narcissist typically has some things to offer. I mean, they're not basing their arrogance on nothing. They're typically talented. They may be very good looking. And so they tend to be more obvious. If you fall for a narcissist in the grandiose form, it's because that's kind of what you're looking for, right? You don't accidentally walk into the hands of a grandiose narcissist, because if you know anything about it, you know that they wear it almost like a costume. But it's the covert narcissist, the narcissist who plays the victim, the narcissist who works you in private and publicly. They're the victim. I've been victimized by my spouse, when really they're manipulative. They lie to their spouse. They cheat secretly. They gaslight and just mercilessly gaslight you. They will mercilessly gaslight you. They'll bring in flying monkeys to back up their story. See, no, so-and-so, they were there, right? They'll convince this other person that they didn't see what they saw with their own eyes, and they misunderstood it, and now they got an ally. When you go to break up, they'll take their gaslighting flying monkey and they'll put them on your social media, attacking you, telling everybody all of the either made up or truthful things that are private, or made up things that aren't real, and they'll sell it from a third-party perspective. I saw it with my own eyes. So-and-so's the narcissist, not my friend. That's the flying monkey, the apprentice. And really, flying monkeys are victims of narcissism as well. They believe the lies. They believe that the person that's doing the abusing is actually the abuser, because they're listening to the wrong person. And like I said, a narcissist will enrage their victim, push them to their breaking point, and then collect evidence of their meltdown, right? And show it to the flying monkey. And the flying monkey is like, that's horrible. But they don't understand how that person got to that broken state. That dealing with a gaslighting, cheating, devaluing, love bombing, hoovering narcissist can literally make you lose your mind. That's where the phrase gaslighting actually comes from. It comes from a play where a man convinces his wife that his wife is going insane. And he does this in a lot of subtle ways, with lies and trickery, literally messing with the electricity in the house so lights go on and off, and then pretend only they can see them, rearrange the furniture and claim it's been there all along, that kind of thing, with the intention of literally driving that person crazy. And I think the phrase comes from the name of that play, which I think is Under the Gaslight or something like that. And so we now, in modern times, call that phenomenon of lying to the point where they convince you that you're crazy as gaslighting. So as a spiritual man, where does all this psychology fall into place? All I can say, I can't say that narcissists are a lost cause, because I do believe a narcissist could change if they would. But they won't. They believe what they are is superior. They believe, many of them, that they're the only real person in the universe, and the rest of us are just like, what's the internet, non-playable characters, NPCs. They think that we're like clones or robots, just here for their amusement, here for their use, here to for them to abuse us and use us for their own benefit. And so they embrace narcissism, see it as their reality, and they have no intention of changing. A narcissist that is appearing to change, you better hide and watch, because it's probably an act. It's probably just an act to convince you that they've changed, and they're a new person. I'm a new man now. You don't understand. I've changed. Things are different now. So they can hoover back around, suck you back in for another round of abuse and make supply out of you. That a lot of people get actually emotionally broken from being the victim of a narcissist, when really, when the narcissist leaves, you shouldn't miss them. You should not miss them. You should see yourself as lucky, as blessed. You should have an attitude of gratitude that you got out with your neck, that you got away from this person. And it's becoming more and more dangerous in this world because narcissism is everywhere. And people that behave this way are everywhere. You know, television and movies promote narcissism. Many times the narcissist will get their way in the end. Seinfeld, the television show, which, hey, I loved as much as the next guy. Jerry Seinfeld's a funny guy. But that show had narcissistic undertones that the writers, in one way, they celebrated it, and in the other way, it's a cautionary tale. At the very end of Seinfeld is when they all get arrested for laughing and videotaping a man getting mugged and thinking it was funny and not helping them, not calling the police, but videotaping. I guess back then it was like this, videotaping instead of pitching in and helping or calling the police. And so in a lot of ways that show, although it demonstrates narcissist, all the characters are narcissistic to some degree, but at the same time it shows the preposterousness, the ridiculousness of narcissistic behavior. But as a minister, I can't employ what I do for a narcissist. If I do, chances are they're toying with me. I find myself in a situation where these devils are messing with me because they know they don't have to leave as long as they're invited by their host, as long as their host is okay with it, as long as their host wants them there. And so narcissists could be cured, because I believe it's demonically inspired. They could be cured through deliverance or exorcism if they wanted to. But I've yet to meet one that in their heart of hearts really wants to let go of their narcissistic behavior, because for them, it's a method of living. It's a way of getting what they want. It's a self-defense mechanism. It's a way of feeling superior. And then they never have to embrace their own insecurities, because a narcissistic person really doesn't think that much of themselves. And this confidence is a facade. And narcissism protects them from judging themselves and seeing themselves for who they really are. A weak person who needs to hurt other people to feel good about themselves. So pray for a narcissist. Pray that God will change their mind, change the way they think, that they will see themselves in the true light, and that at some point they'll have a mirror to look into. I've yet to see much success with this personality type, and they tend to be the unrepentant sinner, the unrepentant cheater, the unrepentant wife abuser, the unrepentant manipulator, the unrepentant thief, the unrepentant manipulator and liar. I guess, hey, throw in your own adjectives here. So my advice is get far away from them. Pray for them. And if you're hurt by one and you're seeking revenge, don't go there. Not just because it doesn't end well when you try to get revenge on a narcissist. And God says, what is it? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I shall repay. So karma is the biggest weapon. And the best way to instill karma is to pray for somebody. The Bible tells us that when we pray for our enemies, it's like pouring hot coals on their head. And I can honestly say that you don't win with a narcissist unless you get away from them, pray for their soul, and then watch as God teaches them an eternal lesson, as God teaches them a life lesson that may take this whole lifetime for them to learn. But trust me, when karma comes around, it's hard to ignore. Sowing and reaping, if you're Christian and don't like karma, it's the same thing. What comes around goes around, and you don't get away with treating people poorly. It will come back around and bite you in the behind, as we say down in Texas. I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like more videos from this channel and you want me to continue doing what I do, I ask that you pray for me. I ask that you Give me a comment down there of encouragement, and I ask that you contribute financially through the PayPal link in the description, or a gift sent to my P.O. box, or by joining Patreon. And you can find my Patreon, if you got the right computer, you can find it as a little tab up here in the corner on Radar, the dog's picture at the top of my YouTube page. I believe there's a Patreon link there. So I ask for your support so I can continue to educate, inspire, and entertain you, and show you the pathway to a true connection with God, and help you avoid the pitfalls of this life. And I'll leave you with this powerful prayer. May God surround you in his ring of fire and hedge of thorns of protection. May he send mighty angels of sufficient rank, authority, and number to surround you and to drive the enemy from your midst. And then may he envelop you in his healing peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding. And may he deliver you from the snares of the enemy into your destiny. In Jesus' name. We'll see you next time on the Sheep Pen.